¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Alio, SV Harkin, A Bond. Welcome. May the rainbows jump and play with you. Appreciate that. Trump advisor Boris Epstein accused of groping multiple women at an Arizona nightclub in 2021 and now newly obtained police body camera footage sheds light. I mean, what? Another Republican being caught doing things like this? No way. Good to see you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to see you guys here. Welcome, everybody. Sorry it's took me a minute, but we're here. It's probably going to be a short stream, but we got to cover the news, folks. The news does not stop. Okay? So if you're on the Discord, I highly recommend to go on the Discord, just if for anything, just to get like channel updates, because usually that's just easier for me. But yeah, the reason why today's stream was a little bit long is because how should we say, Mrs. Truth? Mrs. Truth is feeling very sick. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's my fault because I'm sick or was sick. So it's just kind of making its way around. So my dad was the first one. I was feeling kind of sick. Then I got sick, felt really bad for one day, and have been feeling more or less progressively better as the week goes on. Today I feel even better than I did yesterday, so just move this stuff out of the way. All right. Unfortunately, my girlfriend does not feel that great, but I went out, got some stuff, got some food, and now we're here. That's great. Thank you. Yes, I do feel I do feel better. Got some cat hair on my mic. That's Paquita hair for sure. All right. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling much better than yesterday, that's for sure. Whew. And better than the day before. Rest is best, indeed. My folks got COVID, so I'm a little worried, but at least they're vaccinated. Yikes! Yeah, that's rough. We have COVID tests. We still have COVID tests. I mean, I don't think it's COVID. Because like COVID didn't hit like this, although I don't know nowadays, you know. But we have tests. She's gonna take one. I mean, when the one time I got COVID, it did not feel like that, so I don't know. My parents the rest, so they don't get long COVID. It's up to 10% of the COVID cases. Sheesh. Yikes. No, yeah, long COVID is like what really would scare me. The Simon Locker, welcome. There's a summer cold going around that's probably COVID. Maybe. I guess we're gonna find out because we have tests. We have tests. People go back to work too soon sometimes. True. Thankfully, thankfully I work from home, but I got this from my dad who came from Florida. So I guess we'll see. I guess we'll find out soon. Yeah, people go back to work too soon because they have bills to pay because under this system we're kind of forced to. All right, folks, we got a few things to go through, so let's get some of these stories going. I have to bring like a whole case document if I get sick when I return to work. Jeez.
Many public schools across the state of Florida are actually going back to school today. Start of the new school year. Some started earlier this week. The rest of them pretty much start next week. Teachers are apprehensive. Students are a little apprehensive. And administrators are terrified of the new school year. And the reason for that, of course, is the fact that they're worried they're going to be prosecuted.
Yeah, there's a lot of like we went over this yesterday, I want to say. We went over this like how or the day before. All these fucking like ridiculous laws, ridiculous anti-trans laws in the public school system.
Under Ron DeSantis' legislation that prohibits any kind of talk about, critical race theory or gender or anything that could be considered sexually explicit or anything gay or anything like that at all, teachers, school districts are once again pulling more books from the classrooms. And according to a new report from the Tampa Bay Times, one of the most recent victims of this.
Yeah, like, oh man, I had a thought process and it just was right at the tip of my tongue.
Book banning is none other than the bard himself, William Shakespeare. Several school districts in the state of Florida, most recently Hillsborough County, have...
Oh, yeah, okay, I remember the thought. All right, so, like, yeah, he's talking about, like, critical race theory and things like that. When asked to define it in court, like, legally, like, okay, what are you talking about? Like, put it on the books. Like, if you're going to legislate this, what are we talking about? Their response was anything that... their response to, I think, wokeness was... I'm sorry, not critical race theory. Wokeness was any acknowledgement or talk about the any disparities in the United States. Like it didn't even have anything to do with race or anything like that. Just acknowledging inequality in the United States. That's fucking wokeness to these people. In fact. Here. Yeah, laws that turn neighbor against neighbor and spying on each other, right? This is their literal quote. Okay? The DeSantis General Counsel Ryan Newman said it would be the belief. It would be the belief that there are systemic injustices in the American society and the need to address them. So, this has nothing to do with race or anything. Just the mere acknowledgement of systemic injustices, whether it be class or otherwise, is what they mean about woke. So they just literally don't want to talk about like inequality when it comes to class. Much less inequality, much less talk about inequality when it comes to race. Avon with the 100 biddies. And the need to address them. So, like, yeah, let's not talk about, like, why there is a grotesque income, why there's grotesque levels of income inequality. We can't talk about that and the need to address them as there's, like, homeless people, as in Florida, house prices continue to rise and rise and rise out of people's price range. People can't afford it. How does a governor have this kind of power? This happens when you vote Republican. That's literally what happens. Literally what happens when you vote Republican, and they win the state senate, state legislature, the governor's mansion. Yeah, it's pretty much GG if you vote. If this is just like a case study. Like if you look at what's happening in Florida, it's like in Texas. Florida and Texas is like a basically a case study as to what happens when you vote Republican and they have like real power. When they have the legislature and the executive branch, the kind of laws that they pass. That's just it. Like it's just literally just Republicans winning. This is what happens. Newman added that DeSantis doesn't believe there are systemic injustices in the U.S. Oh, man. None at all. None at all. No systemic injustices here, folks. Nothing to see here. He also emphasized he believed Warren's wokeism led him to sign the pledge not to prosecute abortion crimes, the primary factor that led to his suspension. Wait a minute. Woke, you just defined to the court. You just defined to the court that wokeism is the belief of that there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to address them. That's what wokeism is. What the fuck does abortion have to do with that? Actually, I take that back. Alia with the 11 biddies. Thank you so much. It's bad. Well, yeah, it's GG. Well, if Republicans win to this magnitude at the federal level, it is GG. Make no mistake about it. If the Republicans get an opportunity to have the same kind of margins that they do in Florida and Texas and all these like solid red states, yeah, it's GG. It's GG, everybody. Not kidding. Wait, no, I take this back. This makes actually that's GG. More aliens came over, man. Actually, I take this back. So, here's a question. I take that comment back. Here's a question. So, wokeism, which is the belief that there are systemic injustices in the society, and the need to address them, is a primary factor to not prosecute abortion crimes, because obviously this would be a systemic injustice against, pregnant people, right? I mean, like, that would be the definition. Wouldn't this be illustrative of an example of a systemic injustice in American society that you just said doesn't exist? Curious. Maybe DeSantis being constantly anti-woke and signing fascist laws may not help his campaign. I mean, it helps him with like the far right base. Like DeSantis doesn't care. To be quite frank, DeSantis doesn't care. I think DeSantis is more stone cold. He's not doing this for the applause. Okay? I think DeSantis is more stone cold. Is one of the more stone cold Republicans. He's doing this because he wants to and he likes it. Doesn't matter if it's popular or not. Doesn't matter if it. He's still trying to like maintain this campaign. But voters might not not everyone is Republican, right? But he doesn't care. That's my point. He doesn't care. He's doing this because he wants to. There's a reason why he runs on like this idea of like make America Florida, right? That was like one of his little like gimmicks. You give DeSantis power in the same way that he has power in Florida, meaning like the backing of a legislature and everything. He's gonna do the same thing. It's sad to say, but I hope Christie knocks him down. I don't know how far Chris Christie's gonna get, to be honest. I mean, it's almost a moot point to cover any other candidate, right? Like it's pretty much done. Like Trump is gonna win the nomination. As DeSantis having a successful campaign, Florida has a negative reputation. Maybe to the rest of maybe to the rest of people. Maybe to the rest of people, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care. That's my point. Not whether or not the campaign is successful. Clearly, it's not. But he's not doing this to get applause. Is my point. I can see a woke equivalent of Marco Rubio. I really feel like I'm crazy. Funhouse, how he still has a chance to be president. Who? Trump? Yeah. Trump doesn't just have a chance. He has a very good chance. Like it's 50-50. We're literally going to be on the edge of our seats, which is not good. Not good, okay? Not a good situation, folks. Not a good situation to be in. DeSantis asking help from Trump is the first bad sign. Well, I mean, there's many bad signs. I mean, you can look at the polling. He's double digits behind Trump. It's just not going well. His turnover rate in the in his campaign is not doing great. He's had to, slim down a lot of people. M. Oculus, welcome. The strengthening economy and orange outcome should create a positive separation for Biden. Maybe. Maybe. Who knows? You know what? I might be wrong. I might be wrong. This might actually end up being like 2020. except instead of like COVID being COVID-19 being the X factor, it's going to be like all these trials and indictments that may be the X factor that allows the Democratic Party to do the one trick pony twice. Okay, the one trick pony thing that I thought was going to be for one election, it might work again. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's the case, and it ends up being a repeat of 2020, where Biden makes a significant win. But I don't know. Biden insulted Trump voters this week. Oh boy. COVID and the recession. Trump trashed the economy, among his many other monstrous failings. Yeah, like and COVID certainly helped torpedo the economy. So yeah, COVID really was the X factor. So maybe it might be the case where all these indictments and trials and whatnot, as they get put on display, maybe that becomes an X factor that that makes it exactly the same as 2020. The outcome's exactly the same as 2020, but I don't know. Because, I mean, it's hard to believe that the Democratic Party is going to have the same energy, is going to have the same turnout as they did in 2020, right? It's just hard to see because, like, in 2020, there was a really high turnout, and the reason is because, you know, people just wanted to get this guy out. People would just wanted to vote against Trump, and I don't know if you're gonna activate the same kind of energy this time around, given Biden's unpopularity.
Now pulled Shakespeare from their curriculum because there's some passages that talk about sex. Oh my God. And this, hey, by the way, I'm not talking about Shakespeare for kindergartners. I am talking about high schoolers. Okay? Suddenly high schoolers can't know that sex is a thing. Trust me, if you're a high schooler and you don't know that sex is a thing, then you've got bigger problems to worry about than your next test on William Shakespeare, by the way. Here's the thing. They're allowing some Shakespeare text to remain, including Romeo and Juliet that does, mention sex, but they have to take out those parts. So they're not letting all of Shakespeare stay. Just a little bit,
This is absurd. Like, they're literally scared because they're basically feeling threatened by the state. And they are self-censoring because they're scared of the state. So another way of putting it, Ron DeSantis, yeah, this is Florida, 100%. Yes, they're talking about Florida. So yeah, the state here again is engaging in censorship. If we do not, then we get President Trump again. Yep. Donald is one worst enemy. He's literally blind to his own massive narcissism. That's a major advantage which Biden doesn't even need to work hard to exploit. No, that's a factor in play. But also, like, my concern is that the Democratic, base isn't going to be as activated, in my opinion, as it was in 2020, or the independents and the people that made the margin that it was. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that trick again. Okay, that was a one-time trick, and Biden's already been in office, and, Maybe after reality TV, Trump, USA wants a boring president. Maybe. But I don't know about boring. I don't really care. I want somebody that does shit. To be or not to be, any questions? Redacted. So yeah, I mean, like, effectively, like the state is engaging in censorship. Can we just take care of housing? Just that one thing is so huge. I mean, it'd be nice if we actually cared about reorganizing our priorities. Yeah, that'd be nice. Some healthcare, some housing, some education. You know, things like that.
A little bit here and there. You can talk about these passages, you can't talk about these. Why? Because the administration, the librarians, the teachers, everybody is terrified they're going to be prosecuted, they're going to lose their teaching license, and they could be thrown in jail or fined tens of thousands of dollars under this oppressive and regressive legislation that is now law here in the state of Florida.
Right. So also, just to be clear, and somebody pointed this out to me a while ago. You might have been one of you guys that are here already. But Farron's wife works in the Florida school system. I mean,
we're robbing our children of their very right to even have a proper education in our public schools because we want to be what? More puritanical than people were 500 years ago? Because that's where we're at. I mean, the Puritans of the early days of America have got nothing on what conservatives of today are trying to ban. This is utter insanity. This is...
point made, but I would disagree with the accuracy of that statement. But okay. Am I mistaken? DeSantis is not helping Florida's economy? No, he's not. No, he's not. Dude's picking fights with like one of the biggest revenue bringers, Disney. The dude refuses to do anything about like the dude refuses to do anything about climate change, and that's like a huge billion-dollar industry of Florida. I mean, he's creating a environment that is incredibly oppressive and not very conducive. So no, to the economy. So no, he's not helping the economy at all. Florida schools should lose their accreditation. True.
Profane to me. Not to mention the fact that, oh, we're taking out Shakespeare. Kids aren't paying attention anyway, you idiots. I mean, let's be real. But do you think it's worse for them to read, flowery language describing intercourse? Which, again, like, he's not even being, like, explicit with it. It's all metaphors and imagery and stuff like that in Shakespeare. But then they can go home and they turn on their TV, or they pop in a video game, or they listen to a podcast, listen to any popular music today, and they can hear it, they can see it, they can read it, they can do all of it there. So what exactly are you trying to do? You can't regulate these people's entire lives. I know you want to, but you can't. Shouldn't it?
Any popular music from the past 80 years. True. I mean, like, even like older music, right? Maybe DeSantis wants to be a cult leader. No, he just wants power. He just wants to enact fascist policies that hurt people. 50s rock was all about sex. True.
Be that we get to teach it and put it in context? No, it shouldn't for these people. Sex shouldn't exist. These prudes are enforcing their ass-backwards viewpoint, their own hang-ups about their own sexualities. They're forcing it upon everybody else. That's indoctrination.
True.
If you don't want to talk about it with your kids, you don't talk about it with your kids. But you're going to sit there and tell me that the Republican Party of the year 2023 is a better judge of what's educational than William Shakespeare? Give me a break. Ring of Fire has fresh content 7
True. Remember Matt Walsh? Unfortunately, I don't want to. I want him to not exist. I wish there was a world where Matt Walsh didn't exist. Yeah, I unfortunately, yes, I do remember who he is.
So let's talk about Russell Moore. For those
Conscious Canuck, how's it going? Late show? Yeah, I had to start late. Yeah, unfortunately, I had to start late. Mrs. A Difficult Truth, unfortunately, is not feeling very well. So I had to grab some items and some food, and yeah, hopefully a 12-hour broadcast. No way. I can't. I don't think I could do a 12-hour broadcast. Can you imagine? What would I do for 12 hours? Like maybe I could do a 4-hour show and then just sleep for 8 hours, and that should be the 12, right? This is why I need someone with me when I get sick. It sucks to take care of yourself. Yes. I feel that.
So let's talk about Russell Moore. For those of you who don't know who this is a prominent evangelical pastor who was once a higher up at the Southern Baptist Convention, and he's now the editor-in-chief of the magazine Christianity Today, and he's also sounding the alarm about Christianity in America, saying that he believes it's in full-on crisis mode. Now, there's a number of reasons why he believes this is the case. First and foremost, he thought that the Southern Baptist Convention mishandled a sexual abuse crisis. He also says that he's seen an increase in tolerance for white nationalism within the church. And additionally, he says that some congregates, specifically the ones who love Donald Trump, have even criticized the message of Jesus Christ in a way that he believes is very alarming. So as Ross Story explains, in an interview with NPR, Moore said that multiple pastors had told him disturbing stories about their congregates being upset when they read from the famous Sermon on the Mount, in which Christ espoused the principles of forgiveness and mercy as central to Christian doctrine. Quote, multiple pastors tell me essentially the same story about quoting the Sermon on the Mount parenthetically in their preaching, turn the other cheek, and to have someone come up after to say, where did you get those liberal talking points? Moore revealed.
Bro, literally, oh my god. Are you serious? Wait, are we gonna have to bust out the GOP Jesus? Yeah, I think so. ADT eats, ADT plays with Kitty, ADT crushes trolls, ADT states the obvious. There's a lot of potential content. I guess, is there 12 hours of potential content? I mean, like, if I just get, like, a non-stop wave of, if there's, like, a non-stop wave of trolls for me to argue with, then, like, maybe, okay?
Truly I say unto you, Whoever welcomes one of these little ones in my name might be letting in a murderer or a drug. Let's get her to a detention center. You know, till we can figure out what's going on. I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. And behold, now I'm all lazy and entitled. You shouldn't have done that. Do unto others as you suspect they might want to do unto you.
Oh, I think that part's coming up. Hold on, folks. I think it's coming up. That ukulele you play was so sick. Thank you. Yeah, I could do. Oh my goodness. I mean, how many, like, I could play an entire play set of shows, but that would be what, 30 minutes? Maybe 45 minutes? Shoot, I don't even know if I remember how to play all my songs. And then like the usual like 2-hour show, and then I could play video games for maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. I could probably play video games for 3 hours. After that, I start getting tired. Then I could switch. Well, maybe I could just put my phone on the cat. I could put my phone as the camera, and then put that on the cat, and then just have 12 hours of cat stream. Okay, I could do that. 12 hours of non-stop cat stream. I'm reminded of that new Dark Matter 2025 reverse Christian video. I'm still playing that 3 times a day to memorize it.
What is a man profited if he gain the whole world but lose his soul? A lot. He has profited a lot. One soul for the whole world, that is an amazing deal. Why do you look at the speck of dust in your brother's eye, but ignore the plank in your own? Because of her emails. Yes. If a man strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him and shoot him. That is the law.
There you go. That's the part. That's it.
And what was alarming to me is that in most of these scenarios, when the pastor would say, I'm literally quoting Jesus Christ, the response would not be, I apologize. The response would be, yes, but that doesn't work anymore. That's weak. He adds, when we get to the point where the teachings of Jesus himself are seen as subversive to us, then we're in a crisis. In other words, this is another classic case of, well, I never thought that the leopards would eat my face, says person who voted for the leopards eating people's faces party. And the thought of them quoting Jesus Christ and the Trump-loving congregates coming up and saying, that sounds like some liberal bullshit to me, is so fucking hilarious to me. I love it so much because, I mean, what did you expect? Now, to be charitable to this guy in particular, he was one of the few evangelical leaders to come out against Trump when he started to rise to prominence, but in doing so, he was shunned by other evangelical leaders, which is what probably led to a lot of introspection about the movement that he was a part of. And the Trumpification of the evangelical movement in part is why he resigned from the Southern Baptist Convention back in 2021. Now, he also says that he believes part of the problem is that, quote, almost every part of American life is tribalized and factionalized, and that has extended to the church. And that right there to me is so interesting because the phenomenon that he's describing is in large part due to his church.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's them who did this. Like, this is why I get, like, so combative when people are like, well, you know, it's very divisive nowadays. Yeah. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? And furthermore, which side is, like, making the divisions? And which side is making the divisions while living in a complete fantasy land? The divisions that they're talking about aren't even real. They're not even real. You have like half of the political part, half of like the country. I mean half, like, just because there's only 2 parties, but whatever. You have a sizable part of the country that literally believes an election was stolen when there is no evidence of that. They're delusional. They're literally living in a complete and alternate reality. And that stems into a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, if you talk to them about climate change, they live in a completely, they're delusional. It's literally the perfect word, not as an insult, but as a literal descriptor. Because despite being presented evidence to the contrary, like complete like studies, decades of data, you can point out the fact that like even oil companies performed studies like in the 70s that were pretty accurate till today about what their what direction we were heading into, what direction their products were pushing the planet to. They knew for decades. It's not like new information. But despite that, there could be literal decades worth of data, and they are still saying like, climate change is just some radical green socialist Democrat communist party communist plot to destroy America and subvert America's energy, like whatever. They'll make up like whatever. Wait, you want them to use logic and reason? Give me a moment to stop laughing. Right, that's my point. It's it's literally delusional, right? It's not, you're not living in reality. So therefore, like, whose fault is that? Like, what are we supposed to do with that? That's why I literally describe it as talking to a flat earther, right? There's no point. They're the ones who are creating this divide by deciding that they're just gonna check out of reality. Reality doesn't exist. They just created, they even made their own term for it. It's called alternative facts, right? They even made their own term for it. They called it alternative facts in 2015 or 2016, sorry.
And his religion. Remember, evangelicals weren't necessarily overtly political as a movement until they got in bed with Ronald Reagan in the 1980s. And that was when he decided to exploit their aversion to cultural changes by becoming their new culture war daddy. And in a 2021 op-ed for the Washington Post, professor of history Stephen M. Gillen explains, Reagan's first-term record was a mixed bag as far as cultural conservatives were concerned. Even so, 4 years into his presidency, Reagan saw an opportunity to use religion to forge a new political realignment in the South. Addressing a crowd of 10,000 religious leaders at an ecumenical prayer breakfast during the 1984 Republican convention, the president delivered a rousing speech. Reagan willfully blurred the line between church and state. Quote, religion needs defenders against those who care only for the interests of the state. The truth is, politics and morality are inseparable, and as morality's foundation is religion...
Jesus Christ. What are you talking about? Politics and morality are inseparable? What? What are you talking about? Like, here's the thing. Like, politics is about doing the most you can for the most amount of people with the most you have to do the best, the most amount of good for the most amount of people with the time that you have, right? And that involves, in terms of politics, is obtaining power, right? But there can be situations where you might even be inclined to vote for let's say for an immoral candidate, or a candidate that has done immoral things, because the alternative is far worse, right? It's just fake news created by aliens to distract us from climate change, which they created, which is why they left the stove on. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Undisputable, exactly what happened. As an atheist, I do solemnly swear I'm up to no good. Noted. Welcome, Heat. How's it going? Alternative facts. Welcome, Alter. In my handy Pantinkin voice, I do not think you know what that word means. They're facts that are alternative, you know. If you don't care about what the words mean, then it makes sense, right? here's the thing. I believe that Joe Biden has done immoral things. Right? I believe the Democratic Party has done immoral things. But I'm certainly not voting for Republicans. And I certainly want to prevent Republicans from winning. Because I see what could happen. I see the writing on the wall. I could see what is the possibility, what the possibilities are should a scenario happen where Republicans win at a national level, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. I could see that. I could see the writing on the wall, and I would want to do, and I'm doing everything in my power to prevent that, because that's the play, right? That's the play. Like preventing and pumping the brakes on fascism, I think is I think it's priority. Ronald Wilson Reagan 666. At least Biden isn't the Antichrist. True. Not as many scandals as Republicans cannot prove me wrong. History proves it. I don't even care about like oh, someone had an affair. Can you say national abortion ban? 100%. If they had the opportunity. Among other things, yeah.
Religion and politics are necessarily related. He concluded, if we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Whoa, one nation under God wasn't a thing. One nation under God wasn't a thing until the 50s. Because we had to show the godless commies what was up. So like one nation under God wasn't a thing until the 50s, my dude. That was never a part of like the founding of this nation.
Not surprisingly, the Republican platform that year reflected the agenda of white evangelicals. It called for a constitutional ban on abortion with no exceptions and the appointment of federal judges who opposed abortion. It supported voluntary school prayer, ignored the Equal Rights Amendment, which Republicans had supported in every platform from 1940 to 1976 with only two exceptions, 1964 and 1968, and rejected equal pay for women. Jerry Falwell, founder of the Moral Majority, closed the 1984 Republican convention by triumphantly calling the incumbent ticket God's instruments in rebuilding America. Now, I want to pause right there to give you some additional context. So a lot of people don't know this, but Jimmy Carter was actually originally supported by evangelicals disproportionately because he himself identified as a born-again Christian. However, when he was in office, he didn't deliver for them. He mishandled abortion, according to them, as well as other cultural issues. But more importantly, at this time, it's important to know that the evangelical movement was exploding. So the number of Americans who identified as born-again Christians jumped by 15 points between 1963 and 1978, and the Southern Baptist Convention grew by the tune of millions. So Reagan saw that, and he took that opportunity to cynically weaponize this movement for political purposes.
Yeah, so I was right. The official, whatever, one nation under God bullshit was done in 1954. This was like in the 50s. Belief in the God of the Old Testament being good is considered a moral failing because he does all kinds of morally bankrupt things, alleging he calls himself good and righteous, worthy of following, but some need the extra test of the New Testament, where you support people condemning the truly good and righteous and innocent alleged Son of God to death in order to save your own skin in afterlife. Ah, yes, it all makes sense. This makes perfect sense. This makes perfect sense. Also, like, hey, that's interesting. You said he. That sounds like, human. Almost as if this was all made up by, like, a human. And the person that you're talking about in this Old Testament and New sounds almost like, human. Not damaging at all. It's fine.
And guess what? it worked. It was wildly successful. We're still dealing with the ramifications of that alliance today. And even though he was obviously
Yeah, every religion does that. That's interesting. Maybe every religion was made by a person, by people. Maybe religion is just something that people made up. Some are more honest about it than others.
a political puppet for elites and large multinational corporations. All that he had to do to get these evangelicals to clap like seals was play the greatest hits when it came to the culture war. And this is all really important context because the rise in Christianity coincided with the rapid social progress that they were seeing at this time. Gillen continues, the rise of Christian fundamentalism represented a backlash against the cultural liberalism of the 1960s. In the minds of many evangelicals, the federal government and the liberals who staffed it had engineered America's alleged moral decline. They felt traumatized by a string of perceived offenses, the Supreme Court's decisions legalizing abortion and banning school prayer, the gay rights and women's rights movements challenged.
Oh no, something that has absolutely nothing to do with me. Like, how fucking entitled are these people to say that, like, they're offended by something that literally has nothing to do with them? Unless they're gay, unless they're a woman, unless, like, this pertain to you. Why do you give a shit? Leave people the fuck alone.
Traditional gender roles and the Internal Revenue Service's decision to remove the tax-exempt status of private Christian schools. Outraged, these Americans became a major force in politics, leading campaigns against LGBTQ rights, playing a key role in stopping the ERA's ratification and fighting for a constitutional amendment to
ERA is the Equal Rights Act or something. Equal Rights Act. Yeah. Right, I need to control you or else you're treading on me. True.
ban abortion, offering an upside for the party that could capture their loyalty. So this blending of evangelicism and Reaganomics killed the New Deal era, and it also put our country on a very destructive path that resulted in, well, everything we're seeing today.
Yeah, this is 100% true. This is 100% true. Like, what, this all, like, traces back. Like, it's not Trump, just Trump, right? Trump is just merely the culmination of all this. But yeah, the Simon Locker, I think yesterday said something like George Bush, like, Jr. And I said something to the effect of, like, yeah, we can trace this back to Reagan, who gave rise to all of this, who gave rise to Bush, who now, like, we're now seeing this culminate, today in 2023 around Trump. Their entitlement is Class AAA Super Diamond VIP entitlement. Hey, Alio, rating with a party of 2. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Folks, if you don't know who I am, I'm a Difficult Truth. I do the news. I do the politics. If you enjoy your stay, make sure you hit the follow button. It really does help us out. And please go check out twitch.tv/AlioShare. Appreciate that, and I hope you guys enjoy your stay.
Right? Hyper late-stage capitalism and the mixing of church and state. Now, the problem is America is changing. Not only are we undergoing another period of rapid social progress, but newer generations are less white and less religious, meaning that the church is in crisis mode, which is why the Republican Party has to resort to gerrymandering and voter suppression to...
Yeah, and I must say the most disturbing part was people pushing aside Jesus' own words as wokeness. Not anymore. No. This is the Jesus they're talking about. Okay? I brought this video up because of that exact comment. Because of that exact idea that I had in my head. This is literally Jesus to them.
Truly I say unto you, whoever welcomes one of these little ones in my name might be letting in a murderer or a drug. Let's get her to a detention center, till we can figure out what's going on. I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. And behold, now I'm all lazy and entitled. You shouldn't have done that. Do unto others as you suspect they might want to do unto you. What is a man profited if he gain the whole world but lose his soul? A lot. He has profited a lot. One soul for the whole world, that is an amazing deal. Why do you look at the speck of dust in your brother's eye but ignore the plank in your own? Because of her emails. Yes. If a man strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him and shoot him. That is the law. If you want to be perfect, go. Sell all the possessions that you have and give the money to a solid mutual fund. By this, they will know that you are my disciples. That you say, Merry Christmas! Christ! Christmas! That's my name in there, and I put it in there because I wanted it in there so we could all celebrate Big Boy Jesus' birthday time! Okay? Okay.
Rabbi, surely you can heal me.
My child, of course I could. But who would pay for it?
What? I don't understand. I don't have any money.
Yes, it is a sad story, but it does not make me responsible. It is super duper easy for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. The richer the better, really. Maybe get a solid gold house, just to be sure. Love your neighbor as yourself. Unless you are better than your neighbor, then tell them that they're weird and you do not want to bake them a cake. You have heard it said, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say to you, any man who looks upon a woman with lust in his heart should go ahead and do what he's gotta do.
Lord, your followers grow hungry and we have only this fish and bread.
Oh, sweet.
Regular Jesus. Where's this church? I'm asking for a friend. No, this is a satirical video that everyone should keep in their back pocket. This was a very long time ago. This video was what, 4 years ago. I mean, and it's as true as it is today. Here, I'll send it to you again, or I'll put it in chat so you can look at it. There is a church in cannabis in Denver. They'd probably approve. Hey, you hear that? You hear that, Walter? There's a church of cannabis in Denver. So put that on your travel list.
To win elections. See, that alliance was very beneficial to evangelicals and the Republican Party for a time when demographics favored them. But now, as America continues to change...
Oh man, this guy already has his plane ticket.
The demographics are less favorable to them, and what we're hearing from them are the dying cries of this movement that was once arguably the strongest force in American politics. But getting back to Russell Moore, because again, he said that part of the problem is that America is too factionalized and tribalistic. Well, yeah, you did that, brother. And when the church and politics blends together, I mean, what do you expect? You shouldn't be surprised that a demagogue like Trump came along and usurped your literal deity because you opened that door. Your movement wanted this, and now it's coming back to bite you in the ass. And he sounds even a little bit defeated, arguably, because he also told NPR that he doesn't think that this is a battle for the soul of Christianity at the national level. Really, it's about making a change at the local level with your community and with your family. But see, the problem is that evangelicals know that the only way to maintain hegemony is to use the state to shove their religion down our throats, hence the sudden rise in Christian nationalism from politicians who want...
Right, and the coordinated effort the coordinated effort to make sure that they captured as much of the judiciary as possible. with the ultimate prize that they eventually won of the Supreme Court. They know exactly what they were doing. Mitch McConnell isn't stupid. Mitch McConnell has been doing this for years. The moment he got a friggin' opportunity, he not only made sure to block Merrick Garland, but also while Trump was in office, he absolutely freaking capitalized on it. We used to watch Vintage 21 videos in my ethics class. It's overdubbing of old Jesus films with high-pitched voices. That's hilarious. MAGA Jesus. Yeah, that's GOP Jesus that we just watched. The Republican Party is so extreme, so off the rails, it's bound to die out. Yes, maybe. I mean, with all fascist movements, they are self-defeating. Okay? All fascist movements are self-defeating. This type of ideology is by nature self-defeating. The problem is, how much damage is it going to do on its way out? How much damage? What stage are we gonna pump the brakes on this thing, right? Because right now we're at the we just want to control people's speech. We just want to control people's thoughts. We want to control people's education. We want to control people's choices, medical choices. We want to control the most intimate aspects of people's lives, like the simulacra said, the bedroom, the bathroom, and the doctor's office. So, like right now, these things are in place in certain areas. It's not like nationwide, but there are, factions like Florida where this kind of where you can see this kind of stuff. Question is, how fast can we pump the brakes so that it doesn't get any worse? But yeah, the point being is that you're right. It is bound to die out. Like all fascist movements, they're by definition self-defeating. They are unsustainable. Fascist ideology is definitionally incoherent and self-contradicting and self-destructive. The question is how much and how many people are going to suffer. And our job is to make sure that that number is as little as possible.
To force the state and religion to become one, because the local level is where we saw firsthand how hateful this institution is. I mean, we all experienced it, and that's why we left. That's why Christian nationalists are trying to just use the state to force us all to subscribe to their religious values, because we're not willfully doing it like we did in the 80s and the 90s. But look, I'll be honest, I am glad that evangelicism is imploding. I know that people are going to take issue with that, but I'm glad that this religion...
Nah, fuck that. I'm glad too, all right? I'm glad too.
At least in America, is dying. Because as a former Christian evangelical myself, whose childhood was ruined by this hateful cult, I am happy to see that the seeds of divisiveness that they sowed are now coming back to bite them in the ass. You reap what you sow.
Paste. Yeah, it may take time. Also, this is when they're at, in my opinion, when they're most dangerous. Because they know they're on their way out. They know they're on the way out, so they're gonna be more inclined to be more and more extreme, which is what we're seeing. All right, let's do some updates on this. On this case. Donald Trump speculated that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis might change her mind about indicting him in Georgia's for his conduct in Georgia's 2020 election after he lobbed fresh insults at her. Mr. Trump on Wednesday spoke to Newsmax Eric Bolling, who mentioned how Miss Willis' father was a member of the Black Panther Party and repeated an unfounded rumor that Miss Willis had an inappropriate relation with a gang member. What the fuck? What are you talking about? Does he want to get like another defamation lawsuit? And furthermore, what does that have to do with him messing with the 2020 election? What does that have to do with the case at hand? Man, this dude's cooked. If this is all he has, if if the best that he can do is like try to come up with like made up stories about a district attorney that doesn't have any evidence behind it, the dude's cooked. The dude's cooked. This is the case he's afraid of? Oh, the Georgia governor is not on his side. Oh boy. I see. Okay. So, yeah, okay. So that's why he's even more, that's why he's lashing out more at this case and the Jack Smith case. Mr. Trump made the allegation earlier this week when speaking with in Windham, New Hampshire. The thrice indicted, twice impeached former president said that Miss Willis could not give him a fair shake, in Bowen's words, before he repeated the lie that he won the state of Georgia in 2020, which he did not. Again, anybody who believes this, is not living in reality, okay? There's nothing more to say to that. They're just not living in reality. There's no evidence to suggest that Trump won the state of Georgia in 2020. It just didn't happen. He lost by 10,000 or 11,000 votes, whatever the amount was, I think. He said in his very perfect phone call to find him, whatever, 10, 11,000 votes. Anyways, the point being is, yeah, if you're of the belief that Trump won Georgia, you're just not living in reality. That's just the way it is. Remember, Trump listens to Kanye and Fuentes. Yeah, well, two known Nazis, right? Brainwashed, correct. Quote, "This woman is not a capable woman. I mean, maybe she'll change her mind. I don't know what she's doing. All I know is that she could have done it 2.5 years ago if she was going to do something." Well, how long has she been doing this investigation, bro? This didn't just come out of nowhere, dude. Why Rudy and Trump was telling about 11,120 votes in Georgia? Yeah, the very perfect phone call. Unlike his inauguration crowd numbers, it was the biggest crowd. Fulton County is home to Atlanta, which has a large black population that helped deliver the state to Mr. Biden. Mr. Trump repeated his claim, and he did nothing wrong when he called the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to find enough votes to change the results of the election. Right, so wait a minute. If you didn't win the state of Georgia, why would you be calling the Secretary of State who's in charge of elections to find you the winning amount of votes if you won it? How does that make sense? Oh, I gotta get this to split wood. Look at that. Finally, a freaking advertising that actually pertains to me. Alright, anyways. And this is about a very perfect phone call. And where I'm questioning the election and telling them, in my opinion, the election was rigged. And they're saying I did something incorrect. I didn't do anything wrong. I believe I won that election by many, many votes. Many votes. Well, if you did, then why did you need to call the Secretary of State to find you the votes? This doesn't make any sense. Oh, God. Your impression of Trump cracks me up. It's even better because my voice is kind of out. I'm still like, I'm still in recovery mode from that cold or sickness or whatever the heck. So I'm still a little bit stuffed up. So it kind of helps. It kind of helps give me a nasally touch to it. I was wondering if it was taking a year for an ad you want. Yeah, finally it actually put something that I could probably that I could probably use. Many, many big, beautiful votes. Folks, have you ever seen votes like that? The former president could face his 4th indictment of the year as soon as next week, according to multiple reports. The 7-month investigation by Mrs. Willis' office reportedly named 20 people as targets, including Mr. Trump's former attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Law enforcement began erecting physical barriers around the courthouse in Fulton County. In response, Trump's campaign has begun to run an ad attacking Ms. Willis as well as special counsel Jack Smith and New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg, whose investigation into alleged hush money payments which led to Mr. Trump's first indictment. The advertising will air in Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and New York City. Ah, yes. Very well-known Republican strongholds. Got it. Yeah, see, another advertisement that's completely targeted towards me, right? This makes sense, folks? A bra designed for seniors, okay? I'm in my 30s. Hey, look at that. White supremacist charged with threatening jurors on the Pittsburgh synagogue shooter trial. A West Virginia man and known white supremacist was arrested, domestic terrorist too. You are a boomer, true. For targeting the Jewish community in social media posts and online comments during the trial of the Tree of Life synagogue shooter. This disgusting human being was taken into custody without incident on federal charges of witness tampering, obstruction, and transmitting threats. The self-proclaimed reverend of a white supremacist movement is accused of making several comments in May calling for threatening people who served on the jury at his trial. He was convicted, we know, the Pittsburgh synagogue Tree of Life shooting, and he was sentenced to death last week. And May 14th, on the Russian media site, this disgusting human being wrote, "Free other disgusting human being. We need to support anyone who unalives Jewish people." Yeah. Yep, 2023, folks, we're still seeing shit like this. 3 days later, he allegedly posts that any juror who finds this domestic terrorist and disgusting human being is guilty of anti-white racism. Yeah, you see, like, you see this shit? You see this shit? These dudes are scary, emboldened since Trump, but oh yeah, they've always been around. It's just that they feel like now's their time, especially considering that, you have the rise of more and more far-right politicians, and more far-right people are getting more and more mainstream or connected and adjacent to more mainstream politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley in particular is also a pretty fucking scary dude. I mean, you like, there's nothing more to say. Fucking Nick Fuentes had lunch with the former president of the United States. I mean, that's it. A fucking literal neo-Nazi. Had dinner with the former president of the United States and current Republican frontrunner. So yeah, this shit's pretty fucking close. Candidates start signing the loyalty pledges, but not Trump. 4 GOP candidates. Oh yeah, that's a good meme. Doesn't matter. He's still gonna have their support from the Republican Party. It doesn't matter. I think it's gimmicky. Another post. This disgusting human being threatened to publicly release the names and addresses of the juror. In a May 17 email, this disgusting person said that they would be watching the jurors and taking pictures of all cars and people who leave the courthouse. White supremacy stickers with this disgusting human being's website were also found around Pittsburgh. Authorities said in the complaint one sticker included a swastika and the words "White Pride," according to the complaint. Authorities said that this disgusting human being posted these threats because he was trying to influence, obstruct, and impede this trial. Hey, put a pin on this one, right? This white supremacist had a sticker called with the words "White Pride," right? Put a pin in that. Hold on, folks. Let me bring something up real quick. It'll take like 5 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. Threats of violence used to intimidate or influence a community or jury cannot and will not be tolerated. The FBI makes it a priority to investigate crimes based on religious bias, said the FBI Pittsburgh special agent in charge, Mike Nordwall, in a statement. In this case, the Jewish community was specifically targeted by these threats. I want to thank the community for sharing the information that helped lead to today's arrest. 34-page complaint also outlines other offensive and racist posts. This disgusting piece of shit put against black people and trans people. You said 5 vaquitas, right? Oh wow, more corruption. More corruption found on Clarence Thomas's part. Wow. Surprise, surprise. This disgusting piece of shit, who was a resident of Pittsburgh, had several run-ins with the law. Last year, the Texas Department of Public Safety offered a $1,000 reward for information that led to his arrest after allegedly making online comments saying that he would be carrying a firearm to the Texas State Capitol grounds and would challenge any law enforcement officer who tried to stop him. Okay, I mean, it's not clear if you still wanted on those charges. The Texas Department of Public Safety did not immediately return a request for comment. In 2010, this piece of shit was sentenced in a federal court to 2.5 years in prison for possessing 10 firearms and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition as a convicted felon. He was also acquitted in 2006 in a connection with the shooting death of his former girlfriend. Jesus Christ. Anyways, disgusting human being. Joe Manchin seriously considers leaving the Democratic Party. Wow, surprise, surprise. Oh, but we need Manchin and we need his vote and man. That's why we need to give him all the goodies. Senator Manchin said Tuesday he's thinking seriously about dropping his affiliation with the Democratic Party and becoming independent. Manchin has made a career of proclaiming his independence from DC Democrats, but his latest comments have had a significance given his public flirtation with a possible third-party presidential bid. I'm thinking seriously, Manchin told West Virginia radio host. I have to have peace of mind, basically. That brand has become so bad. Ah, yes, the brand has become so bad. The Democrat brand or the Republican brand, you've heard me say millions of times, I'm not a Washington Democrat. Nah. You're just a conservative, dude. Pressed on how seriously he's approaching the idea, Manchin said he's been thinking about that for quite some time. Yeah, about 2 years ago. Wants to make sure that my voice is truly an independent voice. It's not, though. It's the voice of the fossil fuel industry. So you can spare me with that fucking bullshit, okay? Your voice is not an independent voice, okay? Your voice is the voice of the fossil fuel industry. So please, spare me. Are Manchin and Sinema married? No. How much money are they paying Manchin to join No Labels? No idea. Manchin said he hasn't made any decisions, telling Kercheval, when I get ready to make a decision, I'll come see you. Manchin has been dropping hints for months that he may follow the lead of Kyrsten Sinema, who announced her switch to independent in December, but still caucuses with Democrats. Asked about becoming independent later that month during the CBS interview, I'll let you know later what I decide to do, but right now I have no intention on changing anything. There are rumors as far back as 2021, 2 years ago, that Manchin may bolt the party, although he dismissed them as bullshit. Ah, come on. What a fucking coward. And so basically he milked the Democrats to serve his fossil fuel donors, and now is gonna peace out. Have you seen this? No, I don't think I saw this. That's messed up. We'll go over that after. Manchin faced an uphill re-election battle in a state that voted for former President Trump by nearly 40 percentage points in 2020. The frontrunner in the GOP primary for his seat is popular Governor Jim Justice. Manchin has spent the last year distancing himself from the President Biden fellow Democrats, repudiating parts of the Inflation Reduction Act, and he was threatening to oppose the EPA nominees. Again, for his fossil fuel donors. He may also decide to go another way, headlined the New Hampshire Town Hall last month, hosted by No Labels, a centrist group that is laying down the groundwork for a potential third-party presidential ticket. Do they even have ballot access? Is this about as useful as the fucking People's Party? So, now knowing this, was there really, any reason to capitulate to this asshole? Was there any reason to capitulate to this asshole? Manchin wife and daughter successfully inflated the cost of life-saving EpiPens and made the public schools buy them. Yep. That is a thing that happened. True. You know what? I say good fucking riddance. And from now on, there's no real necessity to capitulate to this asshole. Like, there's no need. There's no need to cater to him anymore. We're free. We're free, folks. We're free. Alright, folks. I don't have that much time left, so we're gonna fly through this. Greek oil tanker illegally dumped nearly 10k gallons of contaminants off the Rhode Island coast. Now he will hold both parties hostage. Maybe. I mean, like, Republicans aren't going to give a shit what he thinks regardless, right? So why should the Democrats? A Greek company that owned and operated an oil tanker called the Galesis, the captain and chief engineer committed several environmental crimes according to the Department of Justice, including illegally dumping nearly 10,000 gallons of oily bilge water off the coast of Rhode Island in February of 2022. Holy shit. This is fucking bad. Zeus Lines Management, also known as SAS, also known as Zeus, the owner and operator of the Galesis, was ordered on Tuesday by the U.S. District Judge Mary McElroy to pay a penalty of $2.25 million. On top of that, approximately $562,000 will be directed to the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation to fund projects to benefit marine and coastal natural resources in Rhode Island. Zeus was also ordered to serve a 4-year term of probation, which bars any of the company's vessels from U.S. ports until it implements a robust environmental compliance plan. According to court documents, Galesis was conducting a cargo operations in the Netherlands on February 2022 when crew members became aware the vessel's gas system became inoperable. The system is necessary to ensure that oxygen levels within the vessel's cargo tanks remain at safe levels and do not pose a hazardous condition. But rather than remaining in the Netherlands until the system was repaired, the company and the ship captain, Master Jose Irving Mahin Porquez, decided to set sail to the United States, where a spare part would be delivered upon its arrival. During the transatlantic voyage towards Rhode Island, the company executives and vessel's chief engineer, Philippines resident Roberto Cayabeb Penaflor, illegally dumped oily bilge water from the Galesis directly onto the ocean without properly processing it. According to the court documents, Penaflor had ordered his crews to discharge nearly 10,000 gallons of oily bilge water from the vessel's holding tank using the ship's emergency fire pump, which bypassed the proper equipment and resulted in illegal discharge. This kind of oily bilge water typically contains oil contamination from the operation and cleaning of the ship's machinery, according to the Justice Department. On February 11th of 2022, while the tanker crossed the Atlantic, Porquez submitted a notice of arrival to the U.S. Coast Guard and failed to report hazardous conditions. Days later, the Coast Guard sent an email in preparation for the inspection, which inquired about the tanker's gas system. Porquez responded but did not disclose the inoperable system, according to the documents filed. The tanker arrived on the coast of Rhode Island on February 19th of 2022, and the vessel engaged a local ship's pilot to sail the vessel closer to shore. The crew installed the spare part, but the inert gas system remained inoperable, according to the Justice Department. During this time, the tanks were not gas-free. The Coast Guard boarded the tanker for an inspection the following day, the first time Porquez informed the officers of the inoperable system. When the Coast Guard measured the oxygen levels within the cargo's tank, it registered as more than double the maximum allowable levels, according to the new release from U.S. Attorney Zachary Cuna's office. The Coast Guard moved the vessel further offshore to not endanger the port of Newport. The Zeus's operation manager directed Porquez to create a logbook showing the vessel's oxygen levels, but Porquez had falsely indicated that the cargo tanks were safe oxygen levels throughout the vessel's journey from the Netherlands until it was inspected by the Coast Guard. This fraudulent logbook was provided to the Coast Guard's office during its inspection. The court documents state, during its time in Rhode Island, the ship had spurred headlines in mid-March for its freshly painted Z on the smokestack. At the time, Russia had just invaded Ukraine, and supporters of the Kremlin were painting a Z on vehicles and ships around the globe. Rhode Islanders took to social media, posting photos of the ship anchored just north of Pell Bridge, but that painted Z was a logo for Zeus, the ship's maintenance. The Coast Guard investigated the case, and Zeus executives in Porquez admitted to violating the Ports and Waterway Safety Act. The company in Panaflor admitted to violating the act to prevent pollution from ships. Yeah, I mean, like, this is so egregious that these people should not be in business. I mean, this is fucked up. Like, it has to be to the point where if this kind of stuff happens, then you just don't get to be in business, period. That's it. You're done. Biden administration warns states as million lose Medicaid. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services ramping up pressure on the states that may be failing to meet federal requirements as they renew Medicaid coverage for millions of people for the first time since the start of the pandemic. The agency has for months been mum about its behind-the-scenes communication with states, but on yesterday, it made public letters sent to state Medicaid offices warning that they may be running afoul of federal law and regulations. The letters, which were sent to all 50 states and Washington, D.C., identified 3 key areas of concern: high rates of people losing Medicaid because of paperwork problems, long call center wait times, and slow application processing. 36 states were flagged as falling short on one of the criteria, including 5, surprise, Alaska, Florida, Montana, New Mexico, and Rhode Island, that fell short on all 3. The criteria don't reflect a potential challenge, doesn't reflect all potential challenges with the state's unwinding processes. The letters are only based on data reported by states in May, and some are missing data. Still, CMS's decision to make the letters available online represents a sharp about-face for an agency that has refused for months to single out any state it believes it may be violating federal law, or even naming specific criteria that would trigger stronger action against states for fear of damaging its relationship with them. It looks like this is certainly part of the paper trail to move to more explicitly and hopefully rigorous enforcement activity. So pay attention to this, folks. It also comes as agencies faces increased pressure from both Congress and state level advocates who are alarmed by the high rates of coverage losses and the state, and have called on the agency to take more forceful action for non-compliant states, like yanking federal funding. More than 4 million people have had their Medicaid benefits terminated in the last 4 months, including nearly 3/4 of those who have lost coverage because of paperwork problems. More than half of the states who are flagged by CMS have high rates of people who lost Medicaid benefits for procedural reasons, meaning the state was unable to make a determination about whether that person was or was not eligible for coverage. CMS said the data indicates people may not be receiving renewal notices. Are unable to understand them, or are running into challenges submitting renewal forms. In short, eligible people may be losing coverage. The agency noted that federal regulations require it to continue to provide Medicaid to eligible individuals until they're found ineligible. 16 states were flagged for having long call center wait times and high call abandonment rates, which CMS said are impeding equitable access to Medicaid coverage and may indicate potential non-compliance with federal requirements under the Social Security Act. 16 states were also singled out because a large number of Medicaid applications based on income were not processed within the 45-day window required by regulation. Jim Beardsworth, a spokesperson for Rhode Island Department of Human Services, said the state has rigorous quality control programs to review procedural termination as delayed ending coverage for families and children until the beginning of 2024. He added that the state has also planned to increase its call center support through cross-agency partnership and is working with federal officials to build additional capacity, and the state had reduced its application processing time to meet federal guidelines as of August 1st. 4 other states flagged for the 3 criteria did not respond to requests for comment on Thursday, nor did the CMS. While much attention has been paid to Republican-led states that have prioritized removing ineligible people from their Medicaid rolls as quickly as possible and have, as a result, seen high rates of coverage losses, the letters suggest significant problems within blue states, which are by and large taking their time with the unwinding process. New Mexico and Rhode Island are 2 of the states flagged for all 3 criteria, are run by Democrats, and 4 more blue states were identified as falling short of 2 of the criteria. They need to apply these criteria across the board, and they're doing that, and that's good. So just pay attention to this stuff, folks. It's important. Medicaid is important. Hopefully, these states will get their acts together and meet compliance. Carpet Packs is rating with a party of 8. Oh, goodness. All right, folks. You're going to want to stay for the raid wave then. Folks, if you don't know who I am, I'm a Difficult Truth. I do the news, I do the politics. I'm going to be here Monday to Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I apologize, but I got to start skedaddling because it is 8 o'clock. However, if you guys want to stay for the raid wave and just kind of ride the wave as we go somewhere else, I would appreciate that, and I'm sure Lost 2 would appreciate that as well. Folks, take a moment. Please, if you haven't already, please go to twitch.tv/carpetpacks. Go show them some love. Wait, did I do that right? Carpet Packs. Yes. Okay, cool. Make sure to go show them some love, and on Twitter as well. Follow them on Twitter. Folks, if you enjoy the content and you want to support the channel, make sure you hit the follow button. Also, hey Zeoduke, how's it going? Also, if you want to support the channel but cannot do so monetarily, that's okay. Go to the YouTube channel, hit the big red subscribe button. It really does help us out. Spread the word far and wide that we're here Monday through Thursday about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Folks, again, thank you to Carpe. Thank you to Alio. Thank you for the raids, folks. Thank you for the biddies and subscriptions. I appreciate it. Thank you for the follows. I really appreciate that. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you, Heath. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for keeping the chat chill. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Of y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, guys. See ya. Just, if you're here from the raid, just hang tight, folks. Hang tight. All right, let's ride the wave. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.